tell you a tall tale that is based very largely on truth, and that begins with me going fishing. One day, not too long ago, I decided to go down to Gardner Creek, which is a tributary of the mighty Roanoke River, which is the big river in northeast North Carolina. Almost all the water in Albemarle Sound comes down the Roanoke River. So I was going to go to Gardner Creek and do some serious fishing. Well, I went to the Gardner Creek bake shop. And I walked inside, and there's this fellow sitting behind the counter, and he's got on a blue gas station shirt, and he's got his name embroidered over his pocket, and white. So I walked up and said, "How do you do, Dwight?" He said, "Dwight." I said, "All right, Dwight." Right, Dwight. I'm getting ready to go fishing here in Gardner Creek. What are people using for bait? I said, "Oh, crickets mostly." And I said, "Well, send me some crickets." And he said, "All right." So he's getting me up a box of crickets, and I walked over to the bulletin board to sort of pass the time, and there in the middle of the bulletin board, there is a newspaper clipping that somebody has cut out of the newspaper and laminated and put it up there on the bulletin board for all to see, and it says that Dwight has just stepped down after 7 years as the reigning cricket-spitting champion of the world. Now, I turned to Dwight and I said, "Dwight, is that real? You get that? You did that state fair, right?" He said, "No, it's real." I said, "So you were the cricket-spitting champion of the whole world for 7 years?" And he says, "Well, yeah, but you know, that's a little kind of exaggerated. You see, we have a world champion cricket spitting, but everybody comes from North and South Carolina. We don't get too many cricket spitters from anywhere else." And I said, "So what's involved?" And he says, "There's nothing to it. You just put a cricket in your mouth and you spit him, and the one who spits him the furthest 2 out of 3 times wins." And I said, "Well, okay, that's amazing. But you were the champion 7 years in a row. Do you have a secret?" And he said, "Oh, I got 2. And I said, "Well, can you tell them?" "Yes, I am. I am retired." He says, "The first thing you need to know about spitting crickets, just put a cricket in there and spit him like he's bad soup or tobacco juice or something. You don't want you just end up with a little puddle of cricket parts right there on the ground." He says, "Put a cricket on your tongue. You got to roll your tongue up a little bit like this, and then you got to go and spit him like a watermelon seed, see? And then he'll get some distance on it." And I said, "Okay, Dwight, that I can certainly see that. I can certainly see that. So, what's your other secret?" I said, "I don't know. I told you that one I just told you, all the cricket spitting elite know that one, but the other one I'm not sure I can tell you." But I said, "Oh, come on, Dwight, please. You did retire, right?" And he said, "Oh, okay." So he says, "Well, you see, when you spit your cricket, you don't want him going through the air like this. You want him going through the air like this." So he said, here's how I handle that. The night before a cricket spitting contest, I put me a Dr. Pepper in the freezer, and I get it rock hard. And then the day of the cricket spitting contest, I walk around with Dr. Pepper in my hand. Nobody thinks anything about it. So I got me some frost burns here. Says I get my hand really, really cold. And when the time comes, I just reach in that box and pick up a cricket and hold him like that, passes right out. I lay him on the tongue and I go, and he goes, and I Dwight, that is just absolutely the most amazing thing I ever heard. But I owe you a great deal. But how much I owe you for the crickets? And he told me, and I paid him. And then I headed out to go fishing. And just as I got to the screen door and stepped out, Dwight says, "Sometimes they don't bite crickets." And I said, "What are you talking about?" And he says, "Well, sometimes they don't bite crickets." And I said, "Well, what do they bite if they don't bite crickets?" And he says, "Oh, mostly worms." "Okay, Dwight, sell me some worms." I said, "I don't sell worms." They said, "People around here, if they want worms, they just grunt them themselves." I said, "Grunt them?" Well, he says, "Yeah, they just grunt them up." And I said, "Dwight, what are you talking about?" He says, "When you need you some worms, you just find you a stub about this long and about this big around. And you drive it halfway down in the mud, you see. And then you find you an old brick. You need an old powdery brick, not one of the new scratchy ones. You get an old powdery brick, and you rub it on the top of that stub. You go, and it makes this vibration sound thing, and the crickets can't stand it, and they give themselves up. They come right out of the ground, and you pick them up and go fishing." And I said, "You're making this up?" And he said, "Yeah." So I said, "Okay, Dwight, thanks for the advice." And I headed on down to the landing and put on my waders. I had on some chest waders. I didn't use the suspenders because I've got this naturally cultivated protuberance I use to hold them up. And grabbed my Shakespeare rod and my Johnson Century closed-face reel and waded out in the river and hooked me up a cricket. Had a little bobber on the line, watching the bobber, waiting for action. Nothing. So I reeled him in and I flipped him over that way. Not much happened. So I tried bobber fishing in 4 or 5 more places. And took the bobber off and tried a little trolling. Nothing. So all right, I'll shorten my line and do a little jigging. Nothing. I even had one of them little Orvis lures shaped like a silver platter. You could put a cricket on a silver platter and serve him up. Nothing. Well, at this point, I'm beginning to seek a little bit of consolation in my flask, which I kept in the front compartment of my bib overalls. And I thought, maybe I ought to get out of the water and grunt up some worms. So I climbed up on shore and laid my rod and reel down and hunted around and found, it didn't take me any time at all to find a stop about that long, about that big round, drive about halfway down the ground. And then I started hunting for an old powdery brick. And the way Dwight had talked about it, I just figured with everybody grunting up worms to fish, I figured there'd be bricks all over the place. I hunted everywhere. And there was no bricks, powdery or otherwise. But while I was hunting, I found an old leaf spring about that long. I thought, well, I could give that a try. So I went back to my stop. And I bent down over it as well as I could. And I took that leaf spring and man, this was a very satisfying thing to do. I mean, it sounded like a bull rhinoceros in heat. Or thunder on the distant horizon. And I thought, man, the worms are going to be giving themselves up by whole populations. I mean, but no worms. Not one worm crawled out of the ground in response to my magnificent performance. So I said, well, with the time that is left to me, I guess I better just go drown the rest of my crickets. So I picked up my rod and my reel and went back out in Gardner Creek, and I was getting ready to hook a cricket on the line and resume fishing when the water around me began to churn and boil and heave. And I looked down, and folks, there must have been 60 snapping turtles all around me. My loud worm grunting noise apparently had irritated the bejabbers out of every snapping turtle on Gardner Creek. And they were attempting, with great snapping turtle seriousness, to bite me. These rubber-coated canvas waders, and they just slid off, which I found very amusing. And me and my flask were a little further along in the afternoon. And I took my Johnson Century and my Shakespeare, and I'm torturing turtles. I'm popping them on the head and slapping them on the back and mocking them. Man, I am mocking those turtles and making fun of them and laughing and capering around out in the water. And that is when I had my genius idea. I too could spit crickets. And I had a strategy for immobilizing them. I take a little hit off the flask and I slide in a cricket. Full of the tincture of cricket. And pop a snapping turtle right in the eye. Turned out it was very accurate. So I'm out there now. I threw my rod and reel up on the bank. I'm out there capering around, having a good time, mocking these turtles. Popping the crickets in the eye. Popping the turtles in the eye. Having a glorious afternoon of it. What's better than that? And then at some point, I ran out of crickets. And, well, might as well finish off the flask. I waded up on the bank. I started to wade up on the bank, and as I headed out of the river, my waders started sliding down. And I grabbed them, and I looked down. Remember I said I didn't have the suspenders on? Well, those two little tabs here, and those two little tabs here, and these four little tabs back here, I had caught a snapping turtle on every one of them. I looked like an army ranger with 8 landmines. And so I very carefully waded up on the bank and slid my waders down and stepped out of them as carefully as I could and picked the whole mess up and put it in the trunk of the car. That night I made a great big pot of turtle soup. Now, I learned something important that day, and I acquired something important that day. The thing I learned is that they ever do have another world champion cricket spitting contest, I'm a contender. If they, assuming it's not a dry county. And the thing that I acquired that day is my present world renown as the inventor of mock turtle soup.